go into game 2, I'm ready to kind of do my thing, right? So I pretty much played his game, the first one, and now I want to start playing my game. I realized, like, okay, he's going to be playing it a little bit different than I thought he would. So I'm just going to start going for my hyper offense mode, the way I like to play, and I'm just going to lead Porygon Z and Clefairy, because it's going to be very hard to knock out my Porygon Z next to my Clefairy, and I play with them a lot. That's my favorite go-to duo right now, is Porygon Z and Clefairy. And I see the Hawlucha and I see the Indeedee, and I'm like, this isn't bad, right? This isn't a bad option for me, because Indeedee can Expanding Force and Hawlucha can, at most, like, it can't like safely close combat, right? Because I can follow me. So I'm not too worried about a super effective move going into my Porygon Z. So I'm just gonna do my thing right here. I'm gonna double check the Pokemon, double check what I brought, kind of start getting my process put together in my head about how I'm gonna approach this matchup right now in turn 1, and I'm just gonna go for it. Like I said, I'm not worried about this this Hawlucha. It can't safely close combat because I can follow me, right? So I'm thinking about my opponent here. He knows that if he close combats and I follow me, that it's not going to do anything, and I'm setting myself up to pretty much win that turn 1. So he withdraws the Hawlucha, knowing that there is no safe way for him to do this. Brings out the Araquanid, which I'm assuming is Assault Vested, and is going to try to take either like the Thunderbolt or even like the Max Strike that I'm going to throw out here. But I don't think he was expecting me to Helping Hand. So, boom, there's the Dynamax. Porygon Z tweaks out a little bit. There's the Helping Hand. Clefairy claps for him, says, good job, Porygon. Yeah, let's delete this spider off the face of the planet and burn down its house. And I thought that was a good idea. Boom. Araquanid goes down. So now I'm up a Pokemon. I am up 4-3. I have my Dynamax. My Pokemon are still in relatively good health, and I've lowered the speed of this Indeedee by 1. So now it's basically just a regular speed Indeedee. There's the Porygon 2. Gets the attack boost, thankfully. And I'm like, I'm going to go for another Max Strike. So I know that this Porygon 2 is a little bit more offensive. So I'm thinking that maybe I can pick it up with a Helping Hand Max Strike, even if it Dynamaxes. Because if it's not super invested into special defense, then I could have a chance to either pick it up or pretty much cripple it for the rest of the game. So there's the Dynamax. I assume that he was probably going to Dynamax his Porygon 2 there, and if he didn't and he tried to set up Trick Room, it was going to go down. So he had to Dynamax. So I thinking ahead like that in my game, like he has to Dynamax here or else he will lose the game. There's another Expanding Force. Porygon takes it relatively well. There's the Max Strike. Comes out on Porygon and doesn't get the KO, but does so much damage to that duck. And Porygon 2 is shaking in its boots at this point because of how much damage that did. Here comes the Max Strike. Boom, out on Clefairy. Wants to get rid of the redirection support. Very smart on his end to get rid of that redirection. It wasn't going to do enough to pick up the KO on Porygon Z, and would just let me get another Follow Me off if I wanted to. So now I know that the Indeedee is lowered by 2, that my Durant can outspeed it, and because I'm also knowing that my speed is going to be faster than this Indeedee, I make a good play here, and this is the play in the game where it turns around for me to like, yeah, I have a good chance to win this, to I pretty much win this if I don't absolutely screw it up. I think he's going to protect his Porygon 2 because he doesn't want to lose his Dynamax just yet. And I think that because he knows that Indeedee is slower than Durant, he wants to try to switch out and reset Indeedee's speed and that way he can bring in the Indeedee at the end game and go for a expanding force sweep or a mystical fire or whatever. So I go for the double into the Indeedee, 1 because I think he might be switching, and 2 just in case Ironhead misses. I don't want this Indeedee just to stick around. He goes for the switch, brings out the Hawlucha, so he does what I thought he would do, and then he also max guards his Porygon 2 to try to preserve it for later. And I take advantage of that. Ironhead misses, so I double into that slot anyways, just as like a safety option, and I pick up another KO. And now I'm in another good spot in this game because now it's 3-2, and he has a choice here. So if he mystical fires, then I will pick up a KO with Porygon Z. If he expanding forces, he can try to pick up a KO onto my Porygon and then try to take out the Durant with Porygon 2. So I think he can't not expanding force here, and so I don't protect with Durant, but I protect with Porygon 2 because I know that he's going to expanding force because he can't let Porygon Z get off another attack here. So I'm thinking about it a little bit, trying to decide if that's the right call. I think it is, and I go for the protect to preserve Porygon, and then I go for the Ironhead onto Indeedee. I know this won't one-hit KO, but I just want to be able to stall out this last turn of Dynamax here. There's the expanding force. Boom, Durant takes that super well. Like I said, I'm using a pretty specially defensed one. Here's the Ironhead. Does great damage to this Porygon 2, and then there is the Max Lightning. Boom, takes out my Durant. Like I said, he wanted to get rid of the Durant, so he would double with the expanding force. I don't know why he Max Lightning instead of Max Strike. I feel like it would have done the same, and now all he did was lower the spread capability of expanding force and the power of the move itself, and he's locked into it. So now there's no way that he can win with my Ferrothorn out on the field, and he has to single target my Pokemon. So I feel like he might target into Porygon Z again, and Porygon Z is not going to be able to outspeed the Indeedee, so I go for the double protect just to see if I can cheese out another KO and preserve my Porygon. And because, like, it doesn't matter what I did, right? I had a double protect there. That was my only option for Porygon Z because expanding force will move first and it will pick up the KO. So I end up getting the double protect, which is great. And then here's the recover on Porygon. And this could have gotten a little bit dicey with like the recovers, but I had the knockoff, so I could have gotten rid of some of the bulk of that Porygon. And like I said, it's very invested into special attack, so I feel like Ferrothorn still could have pulled that out. Here's the Hyper Beam, so I go for the Hyper Beam and I go for the knockoff just in case Hyper Beam doesn't KO. So there's the Hyper Beam, the coolest animation in the entire game. Absolutely deletes this Porygon, don't even need the knockoff, and I bring it to a game 3, 1-1. And now I'm kind of got an idea of how he functions with his team, right? So after game 1, I had an idea